Well, good morning, YouTube world. Welcome back to the Trucks, Trails, and Tales YouTube channel. It's been a long time since we've talked about the topic of the 39 Dodge Sedan here, and I want to apologize for that, as things are hectic in life, and I've slowly made progress on it, just picking away at things here and there, and apologize I haven't filmed it and shared it with all of you. It's been like onesie-twosie things for an hour or so after work when I have time. So I haven't really felt the need to bring the camera out and record that. But diving further into the progress we've made, I figured I'd make a brief recap of what we've done here and, how we've gotten to this point, what progress we've made, and, where we're going forward from here, just to keep everybody in the loop with how things have been going. As you can see from the tactically placed sun visor out of the 91 over here, I pulled everything out of the cowl vent here, and I'm sorry the lighting's not the greatest in this garage. I should probably invest in some shop lights, but I actually pulled this whole cowl vent assembly apart, all the screens and everything in there. I've actually never taken one of these apart, so I didn't know what it was like, but if you could guess, this thing smelled like mouse nest, and it still continues to smell like mouse nest. And the one thing that was interesting is when I looked in here, it was stuffed to the brim with mouse house. And we had a few fellow passengers that didn't quite make it through the seasons in there that I took out. It's kind of hard to see, like I said, because the lighting sucks, but you can see maybe-ish tucked back into there. I don't know, the camera's trying to spin. There's like some light. It kind of rotted out some of that back in there. I didn't really feel like patching it because it's kind of tucked in the back where the water's really not going to get to. And honestly, if it's raining and the water gets in there, that's just going to cool off the legs a little bit. But I sanded everything down. Well, first I cleared all the mouse house out, sanded everything down, painted it, cleared the drain hole in there because I never knew that this was a possibility or that engineers would design things this way. But there's actually like a little drip tray down there. And if you can kind of see it, there's a drain hole, and you run a hose out the firewall and down to the ground, so any water that does tend to accumulate and get past there goes out the firewall and goes back in the ground with the road draft tube, mixes in a nice oily concoction that coats the roads, to keep the dust down. Following up on that, you can see I have all the pieces back here on the bench. Here's the screen that actually mounts on this cowl. Here's all the hardware. That's a piece of trim that I was messing around with. There's the hose that came out, the little elbow that comes to the firewall. I'm hoping to eliminate that and just kind of run a hose through there and then tuck it back. This little screen, I guess, is supposed to prevent water and dust and stuff from getting in through there. It doesn't protect mice, I'll tell you that. But it's got like and it's hard to see, like a fibrous interior of it. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And then I took this little, I guess you'd say the actual cowl guy, and painted it, taped off the top so we keep that mint patina look, you know what I mean? And what do you call it, rust converter. I used, is this it? Rust reformer. I used that. Just cleaned up some of the rust, spray painted it with that, and then hit it with just regular black Rust-Oleum Stop Rust enamel, just to, make it look really nice for whenever we go to, drive this thing around one day, because, of course, the whole thing is completely restored, so people are going to want to see that. Other things we've done, as you can see, the interior is all lying in a pile right behind here, tactically placed so that the garage cat, who is lurking in the shadows over here with her new toy, which is the new fuel tank for this guy. Yes, I bought a new fuel tank because the other one smells terrible, and I don't like to mess around with fuel tanks. I know they're expensive, but $300 to know that I'm not pulling rust into the system or anything like that is great. And as you can see, she is the guardian of it, making sure everything is good to go and that nothing is invading it. Right, girl? Right? Yeah, that's right. Good garage kitty. Good garage kitty. Good girls. Good girls. Now I gotta give her pets for like at least 10 seconds here, because if I don't, then she's gonna try to smack me around. She's a She's a very aggressive foreman here in the garage. She likes to make sure, you know, she gets proper attention and everybody knows she's the boss. But if you don't give her attention enough, then she, you know, gets all sassy with you. See, right now, she's like, yeah, you need to get back to work. Do what you're doing. So, yeah, sorry, got on a little sidetrack there. But, yeah, we got a new fuel tank for it. Like I said, paid a little more than I wanted to, but I got it on eBay for like $300, and everywhere else was like $400 to $500, so that saves me enough for a sending unit. But yeah, so the seats are all back there, and it's kind of got some, you know, mood lighting right now with the sunrise coming through here. As you see, the interior is completely stripped out. I wanted to do that because I wanted to see where any rust areas were that could be impacting whether or not we could get this thing state inspected. Because believe it or not, I'm not going to go the antique route with this thing. Like the 86, I have antique tags on it, which if you're not from Pennsylvania means that you just send, it's like $60 an antique registration, which is anything older than 25 years or older. And you send that to the state with a couple pictures. I've never had to send pictures, but people have had to send pictures recently. I don't know why. But then the state says, yes, no, you're good, or no, that's a piece of garbage. And then you have one-time tags, and you can drive your vehicle once a week, even though they don't really enforce it. And then you just pay, like I said, the lifetime or antique registration tag. They give you a plate, throw it on there. You never have to get inspected, which is nice. But for some reason, I'm kind of leaning towards having the fun time of taking this thing to my local inspection garage and having them inspect it and just being like, what? Yeah, because this is old enough to not have turn signals, you know, other stuff like that where it's like, I just want to see what their reaction is. But as you can see, everything's generally pretty decent in here. There's a removable floor pan right here, and then this top floor pan's removable as well. You can't find the top floor pan, unfortunately. You can find this bottom piece, but it seems like they make one that you can, I don't know if it's for a coupe or a sedan. It's not this type of sedan. It must be two doors that is a whole one-piece one. And it looks pretty universal, so I might be able to just hack that in here and, you know, go 2 for 1 and just make my own floor pan, which I'm probably leaning towards. But you can see there's like some rust holes right here. This is where a lot of the stuff was sitting. I can probably pretty easily patch that. Like I said, I'll try to just clean that up as best as I can. There's where the battery tray was. I'm actually not going to run a battery underneath the seat. I know it's not original and stuff, but I don't want it there. I'm just going to put it under the hood, just buy like a universal bracket. Do that. Lighting kind of sucks right here, but there's some rust holes, as you can see right here. That's not too bad to patch. I can do that pretty easily. There was like weather stripping. Not weather stripping. What's the term I'm looking for? Like, not dynamite, but, you know, insulation stuff on the floor. I'm guessing it was to, you know, prevent noise and stuff like that, or maybe it was just to protect the paint. I ripped all that out. That was fun. There's still some remnants of it sitting around there, but I wanted to get that all out, see if there was any rust underneath there. It seemed to do a good job protecting everything. I mean, other than this interior being trashed and like the few rust holes at the front, I mean, the back's really nice, really solid. Underneath the back seat's nice. The trunk is not the greatest. It's hard to see because of the lighting, but you can see some rust holes right there. You can see some other ones right back in there. Trunk's probably the worst spot of this vehicle. But fortunately enough, I have a, I guess you would say, donor vehicle for sheet metal. That guy right there is going to be what we're going to sacrifice a lot of sheet metal for to repair this. I know it's not kosher and whatever, but that thing's rotted. You know, floor pans are all shot on that. Everything's pretty bad on it. I'm not using that cab, so we're just going to rob like sheet metal out of the side. All that other stuff, like just take big sections out of here. Oh, I can't focus the camera. Out of here and other areas, just use that to patch this all up and get it to where, you know, there's no holes in it, so I can get it state inspected through Pennsylvania. Yeah, other than that, I mean, this all kind of falls together because I have to get to the brake booster or the brake master cylinder through here and all that other stuff. Like, obviously none of the brakes work here, so that kind of sucks. but we'll figure that out. It's not super simple, or not super difficult. And then once I get all these floors patched and replaced with sheet metal, I'm going to paint the whole floor. Probably some Rust-Oleum product. Rust convert it, all the spots that need it, and then just paint it all black. That way it's fine. I'm not going to put carpet in or anything. It's not worth it. I mean, this thing, you can get weather seals for it, but it's old, and I don't really care if water gets in or snow gets in. I just want a base to make it so where that it, is half decent, and I'm not going to rot out in 2 days after I fix everything. Another thing I've done on this unit is there was, at least on this side and the other side, there's trim that runs along the side of this floor pan. Oh, hold on, supervisor's here. I know, don't worry, I'm working. I got you, we're good. But along the step, there was trim that ran along the side of there. The trim was still on this side, I think. It was off on the other side, and then there was like, I'm guessing this was covered in a rubber, what you'd call it, like covering, so that it provided grip and traction, but most of it was gone, and you can't find it anywhere, so I'm obviously not going to find it. But what I'm going to do is, since these kind of don't match the rest of the car, they're kind of rusty and rust colored, I'm probably gonna rust convert them and then paint them. I haven't really decided if I'm just gonna paint them black or if I'm actually gonna like bed line them. These are bed liner material. I haven't really decided yet, but that's gonna happen. So this one, you can see it's got some rot where a lot of dirt came up into the mounts. This one's not as bad over here. You can see it started taking some of the metal away. And then over here, this one's a little worse for wear. You can see that took a little bit more metal away. And this one's definitely a lot worse. It's seen better days and even out here and stuff. But I'll try to patch that as best as I can. And like I said, just convert it and paint it so hopefully it protects it for a good while. Another thing I've done is I put shocks on this girl. The other shocks, obviously, I'm guessing they were still original. We're not looking too good. It's kind of hard to see. Oh, just hit my head off something. That felt great. Yeah, it's kind of dark under here. But you can see that's a brand new shock right there. Kind of hard to see, but there's a brand new one over there. They were just some, I don't know, off the shelf brand. Oh, we got a superstar coming through here. Visitor. Boss is making sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, just swap them out. I think I got them for like 20 bucks a shock. You can see this rear axle is going to need some attention. And now looking underneath here, you can see how, I guess, kind of crusty-ish the gas tank is. Honestly, when you stand back here, it smells like bad gas too. It's not good. And then if we go up to the front, maybe I can see this up there too. Oh, you gotta see it from the back. Watch out, supervisor. You can see that I put new shocks on there as well. It was just one of those things where, I had a couple, like an hour or so, so I was like, I'm gonna throw shocks on this just to see if it makes it any better, because it rolls real bad. And it honestly took me like less than an hour to do. So that was really nice. But yeah, so you can see some progress has been made. But a lot of it is just going through and preparing for, next steps of what I need to do to get all the systems fleshed out on this. So what does that mean moving forward, Seth? Well, I don't know. Like I said, my main goal now is to strip the interior. That's kind of the next steps, just to get things down to where I can access everything. I'll probably start patching that stuff first and going from there. That way we can make sure that's all golden, and then start working on tertiary systems. Probably brakes first, because I don't think the brakes have ever worked since I've had it, and I don't think they worked when the gentleman that before me had it. What's nice though is, holy crap, I can't speak. Brake drums are pretty much unobtainium on these things. I mean, you can buy them, but like, you can only buy them on eBay used for like $400 to $500 a piece, and I'm sorry, I'm not buying brake drums for that much money. So what I did was I went through and pulled all the brake drums off this thing, and luckily the fronts are pretty easy because it's just got a spindle nut and you just yank them off, and they came off relatively easy. Not too bad, not scored, not pitted. All the lining in there, where it actually makes contact with the shoes, looks great. So both of them are nice. The only, I guess, shoes that were bad were on the passenger side. They were worn down basically to the rivets, but the driver's side was still pretty good. I'll probably replace shoes on the front just because of the way the passenger side was, and you have to buy them pairs anyway, so whatever, I'll just do that. The rears were a bit of a different story. They're more of a bear to pull off, and I didn't realize this on the old Dodge vehicles. I mean, any of you that probably have experience with this knows, but I didn't. On the old Dodge vehicles, they had the brake drum seats with the taper on the axle spindle, shaft, stub, whatever. Spindle's probably the right term. But they're two oppositely tapered seats, and then there's a keyway in there. So what you do is you put it on there, tighten the nut down. I think it's like 110 foot-pounds, and that is what causes your brake drum to stay on there. Now, this is fine, other than the fact that that tapered seat is like one of the strongest connections known to man. And you can't just rip that off there with your hands or a regular puller. So what I did was, it's kind of hard to see. I went on eBay and bought this vintage, 60s. I don't even know how old it is, but it was back when America made stuff the way they should. Brake drum puller. And I'll tell you what, that thing is awesome because the casting's all good. And I beat on it with a freaking 10-pound sledge. Just started hammering on stuff. And I ended up breaking that taper on both of them. And what's funny is you can buy like repop ones out of China that have garbage castings and break once you look at them the wrong way for like $50 on Amazon. Bought this off eBay from some gentleman up in New York for like $60. And you know what? This will last a million times longer than that thing. So, but yeah, so you put that on there, put it on the drum, and start smacking with a hammer, and then you realize the hammer you have is too small, so you grab a 10-pound sled and just start beating the guts out of it, and you break your back and hit yourself in the foot and all that stuff, and then finally it pops off and it sounds like a shotgun shell. Or a shotgun going off. It's not a shotgun, it's more like a 22, just a nice little pop. But yeah, they came off, they look great. You can tell, I don't know if the vent on the axle's bad or what, but like all the axle seals were shot in the rear axle. There's gear oil all over stuff, so we're probably gonna have to put seals in it, make sure the vent's unblocked. All that fun stuff, but luckily the drums look great, and the shoes even look great back there too, so I don't think we're gonna replace shoes back here. I think we're just gonna redo the wheel cylinders, clean everything up, reseal the axle, and be good to go there. So yeah, but I guess to the good part, we're probably gonna get in some work today. I'm probably gonna film some of it. Probably going to try first and foremost to get this upper floor pan out. There's some fasteners that are still good, but the rest of them are pretty much just wasted, and they're flathead screws. So the ones that do want to come out are going to come out all right. The other ones, I'm probably going to have to just rip that floor pan out of there because it's rotted anyway, and then deal with those later. So we're probably going to do that. What else? I think I might take this fuel tank out. It's pretty bad, and it smells real bad, and I think I need that out there to patch the floors anyway, just because I want to be able to see what I'm doing and not have to drill through a gas tank and all that fun stuff accidentally. So we'll probably get on that. And the other thing is, whoever serviced this vehicle back in the day did an excellent job, and I'll show you why. So one great thing about vehicles like this compared to vehicles nowadays is everything, and I mean everything, was greasable. Like there's a ton of points on the front axle. The U-joints are greasable, even though they're kind of like some weird ball and trunnion setup, which I've never heard of ever in my life. People actually greased their vehicles because they had to, because they needed to, because they wanted things to last. And, dealerships weren't just trying to scam people out of money, but I digress. If you can see kind of with this light, it's kind of difficult, but these springs are coated in a layer of grease and dirt, and it's all hard and packed because apparently back in the day, you wrapped leaf springs, or either, I'm sure it wasn't people, I'm sure it was manufacturers, wrapped leaf springs in sheet metal, and then they actually had grease inside there. My understanding is it's because there was no shims in between the leaf springs, so they squeaked real bad. So what they did was they just greased them and then put sheet metal over them to keep the corrosion out and to prevent them from squeaking, and then you would just either take those sheet metal things off, grease them, and then put them back together, or I think this model has like little holes. You need a special tool to grease them, or you can just hold a grease gun with, you know, the almighty power of your hand and try to get grease in there, and hopefully it works out. But yeah, so you can see that's coated in a layer of grease and dirt, which is good, which hopefully means it's been protected, but I also want to be able to grease these again, so we're gonna try to clear all that out. The other side's the same way. You're probably not gonna be able to see it from over here, but it's just coated in a layer of grease and dirt. The rest of the underneath is fine, other than the front axle, which is sort of the same thing. It's really kind of hard to see, but it's coated in another layer of grease and dirt and grime that you really can't get past because somebody, like I said, took proper care of this vehicle back in the day, whether it was a dealership or the person that owned it. Everything was greased and is coated in a layer of grease. So that's great news for me, hopefully for longevity and not having to replace a whole lot of like maintenance items on this car, but that also means I have to do a lot of cleaning. So we're probably gonna do that again, or not again, we're probably gonna do that today and try to get it down to a bare state to where I can service everything and see how the componentry is so that I'm not just, you know, going blindly and having a tie rod end or something snap on me the first time I try to go drive it. All right, so first things first, in order to feel a slight win, I'm gonna pull the tape off this guy. I don't know, I have this on my head, so hopefully you can see things real well, but so I taped this up to keep the great patina that was on top of here preserved. We had a gentleman, I don't know if he's still subscribed or not, but he said something about patina is just rust, and I don't know if he was talking smack on me or what he was doing. I don't really care because everybody has their opinion and they're entitled to it, but like, I like this car a lot, and it's in good shape for being a, what, almost like 80, let's see, 40, 60, 80, almost an 85, 86, 86-year-old car, I guess it is. Almost 87. And it's in great shape, and, you know, it obviously is a survivor for obvious reasons just by looking at it, but I like the way the car looks. I'm not really gonna paint it, at least as of now. I like keeping things original, or as original as they can be. And, you know, this guy looks killer, in my opinion. Like I said, some people may think that that's wrong, and that's fine. But my main goal with things is I kind of subscribe to like the roadkill narrative, which is what I kind of grew up and cut my teeth on working on cars because I idolize those guys, is I just want to get the thing running. I want to get it driving, you know, be able to put it back on the road, have it be enjoyed by not only myself, but people that enjoy these as well, and enjoy old things, you know, just bring happiness to people and have them like it. So, yeah, I mean, to all the folks that are saying, oh, it's too great, you should paint it and all that other stuff, I hear you, maybe someday, but for right now, my main goal is just drive the thing. You know, it's been sitting a long time, and, you know, I want it to stretch its legs and get back on the road and be enjoyed by me and other people. So, yeah, sorry if that doesn't fit your narrative or what you like in life, but I'll tell you what, if you're offering me a good money, I'll buy it, and you can do the same thing with it and paint it up and spend your money on that, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to assemble this cowl yet because I think I need some lock washers for the bolts that mount this, because it uses those serrated types, and like I think one or two of them just kind of disintegrated. So for now, we're just gonna leave this guy right on here. That way it fills up the space and I don't have to worry about shop supervisors falling down into there and hurting themselves. And like I said, I already got all of the hardware and stuff back here to be able to use for it. So we'll just leave that like that for now. You know, another thing I don't see people do too often either, and maybe this is just because I feel it deep down in my brain, I'm a bit of a psychopath and like to ensure things don't stick, especially anything that's drivetrain related, is I like to get in and you know, just turn engines over every time I'm out here. I don't think it really means anything, and it's probably just a waste of time and energy, but you know, I like to put this old girl in neutral and just turn the engine over a little bit, go through you know, all the paces with it. you guys get to luckily hear me sit here and grunt and turn an engine that has not a whole lot of compression over and struggle to do it. Oh, there's my finger in the camera. But you know, just enough to keep things from sticking a little bit. Give her a nice amount of, you know, turning over so that I don't forget and come out here whenever the time comes to actually start driving this thing and find out that the engine's seized. Like I said, I don't think that's how it goes, and I don't believe that if I didn't touch it for 6 months that it would stick and that the engine would seize, but I also don't like to chance it, and it takes me like 5 minutes, and it gives me that peace of mind to know that everything's all right. So I do that with this guy. I also do it with that awesome 7.3 IDI over here. Still not 100% sure we're doing this thing. We thought we wanted to put it in the 95. We're still kind of contemplating on that. But yeah, I just put a bolt on the crank there and just spin it over a little bit. Make sure it's, you know, nice and free so that whenever I get to it at some point, you know, I won't have to struggle to unstick it. But yeah, you know, this is just something I like to do. Like I said, it's probably not necessary at all, but it makes me feel better, and that's all that matters. All right, need a little aqua here. So first things first here, before we get into like any major stuff, we're gonna move these seats back a little bit because they're in the way of any progress that's going to be made. I store them this way because that way a cat, I mean, sorry, shop supervisor, doesn't come in here and destroy these and wreak havoc on them. I mean, I know they're in mint condition now, and oh my gosh, we wouldn't want that. But yeah, keep them somewhat in decent-ish shape until I eventually recover them. But I'm not going to do that before I get it running and driving. Oh, look, we found another gift, another walnut. Remember how many of these we pulled out of this guy? That was insane. This one looks like something's been munching on it. So yeah, get that back out of the way. We're actually gonna say that that could be good for breakfast tomorrow morning. I still haven't fixed the hinges on this guy. I don't know if I will or not. I have one saved on the evil bays. I think this guy's the issue. As you can see, it hits this. It's kind of dented over time. I don't know, this looks like it's the right hinge, but it's mounted the same as the other one and it doesn't work. Like, I don't know why. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much. Like I said, I have one saved on my watch list on eBay for like $150, which is just asinine. But it would also be nice to open the hood, or the bonnet as they call it in across the pond, and use that. So we'll see about that. But as you can see now, looking in here, hopefully my head cam thing's pointed the right way. The trunk's the worst place. And luckily a lot of the stuff up here, like where the sending unit is, where, you know, this hole is, those are, that can just be cut out and patched pretty simply. I'm not really too concerned about that. But then you get to like right down here where I don't know why Dodge decided to design it this way, where it dips down and then you have this perfect area for all kinds of fun stuff to sit. I'm probably going to have to cut this whole entire section out and then somehow find a way to fasten it back here where a lot of it's already rotted off. Luckily, I can probably use like the roof or like that back panel on there that has some ribbing in it to really add strength to that, and just kind of cut something, bend it in a 90 and mold it over. And it should work out just fine. But I don't know yet. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be, I've been kind of putting it off just because I don't want to really deal with it, but that's not the right attitude to have. But yeah, like I said, a lot of that stuff will be easy to patch. And I want to get the fuel tank out of here because that would make it a lot easier to access, you know, fixing all the sheet metal, and then hopefully like fluid filming under here, underneath this before I put another fuel tank in, so that way it doesn't, you know, rot away, at least for another, you know, hopefully 86 years. So since I'm back here and just trying to take a lot of stuff out, I figured I'll just segment whatever I'm doing today and try to you know, get two birds stoned at once while I'm back here. As you can see, these light buckets are basically destroyed. There was one that came on the other side. As you can see, it was in far worse condition because it actually rotted out the panel there. But there's actually, oh, let me see if I can go find it. I've been trying to keep things, as you can tell, I'm vastly organized in here, and you know, everything's labeled and kept down to where it should be. This is what kind of clamps between the fender and then that light bucket housing thingy, I guess. So this goes underneath here like so, and then the two bolts back here go into there, and it just clamps itself onto the I guess fender, rear quarter, whatever you want to call it. I only have one of these. The cool thing is I can probably 3D print these strong enough, just as strong as this is, and you know, make it work. And if they like get destroyed, I could always just print new ones. My only concern, as you can see over here, this one has corroded significantly. So I don't know how well that will mount, but I kind of want to test it with that bucket, since that one still has mounting threads on it. The other one, this one that was on here, was rotted out. Too bad that it didn't have that. So I think first thing I'm gonna do is try to get these lights out of here. Luckily they just kind of like, well, it's kind of hard to see, you might be able to see over here, they just have these little plugs and they're just like bullet connectors and clamp on and off. But unfortunately back in there's like some goo. I don't know if it's like Permatex or what it is. It kind of holds it as like a gasketed thing so that, one, it probably protects water from coming in, which it probably isn't doing anymore, and two, probably prevents the wire from rubbing on the metal and shorting out and stuff. So we're gonna clear that out first, try to pull these lights out so that I can get those out of the way. Well, we got one out and that went super well. No, just kidding, it actually didn't go well at all. Apparently they splice a lot of wires right in back to this connection. I don't know why. So it looked like these branched off and fed the other taillights. I think these with these bullet connectors are what fed this light, and then I believe these are sending unit wires, and I don't know how they splice into this gobbledygook here with this like Permatex-ish looking stuff. That's kind of weird, but we're gonna save this just so that we know to reference going back. But yeah, then we'll go to the other side. It was kind of, there actually was a grommet in there. As you can see, there's like a hole where it's all rusty and stuff, but I don't know why it was all Permatexed over. Maybe someone was trying to prevent it from leaking, and obviously they did a great job because, you know, it didn't rot out at all. So yeah, we're gonna do the other side now, and I'll bring you back once that's done. All right, so we got both of them out. As you can see, there's another hole over there as well. Not too bad, pretty straightforward. As you can see, there's a reason I wanted to as well. I mean, there's, I don't know if it's gonna focus real well, but there's bare wire on both leads on these. So yeah, none of these were doing anything at all. These were definitely just shorting out and never gonna work anyway. So it's probably a good thing we ripped them out and are gonna replace them. The only downside is there's no glass bulbs, none of the, I guess, trim on these. And these things are pretty hard to find, unfortunately. And I'm going to kind of go on a rant here because I feel strongly about this. You always hear people saying, oh man, the young kids don't want to get into vehicles. You know, they don't want to do this, or they have no respect for anything that's older or whatnot. And I get that. You know, there's a lot of people that don't really care about old stuff, but, you know, there's some of us that actually do. And believe it or not, in deep corners of eBay, you can find these things with the trim, the screws, the glass, the bulb. Everything is just a direct replacement to throw right in your vehicle. Brand new. They don't look crappy and rusty like this. And you know what people want for them? The cheapest one I've found is one that's got a black bezel on it, which I didn't know they did that with these cars, which is actually kind of cool, but you can't find really any other ones like it. Guy wants $225 for it. All right, like that's semi-reasonable. This thing's rare. Like, I get it. I still think that's way too much because it's not like this is a really niche car. I mean, it's not a 39 Ford, so people aren't mass reproducing things. I get that, but like, also it's like, that's a lot of money. Then you got these other dudes that I guess are specialty parts people that are charging $650 to $700 for this piece right here, the bezel, the glass, and the bulb, just all one assembly. $700. And I'm like, you're the reason why people don't want to get into this stuff. Because, you know, let's say I bought this car for, I think it was like $1,350. Maybe it was $1,200. I can't remember how much, but, you know, decent money. You're telling me that two of these things are going to be more than I paid for this damn car? Like, that's a problem. Like, come on. I get it. People want to make money, and capitalism is great, and I love capitalism, but it's also like, let's be reasonable here. It's not a $700 part. So another reason why I wanted to take these out was, and I know the lighting's probably trash over here, so I apologize, but I wanted to make sure that if I did order, you know, two of these things for as much as I paid for this whole entire car, that it would actually be able to fit in this, you know, rotted outside, which it's not that bad. I can prep that and paint over it. You can see this is how it's originally supposed to look like, you know, just all squared off and stamped out and all that stuff. But this side isn't like that. And, you know, I can push that up there, and I just wanted to see if it would still clamp. And I'm sorry, because there's no light here, but it looks like it will still clamp pretty decently in there. Sorry, I just hit you. Hopefully you didn't hurt yourself. But yeah, it should still clamp pretty decent. So I think we'll continue to roll with just buying repops of these to keep it looking the way it did. Like I said, I don't like being screwed over by people, but also I do kind of want this car to look semi-ish right. I thought about hacking like 39 Ford taillights in here, like maybe taking some sheet metal, screwing it up through here, cutting off the sheet metal screws, and then bonding this over to make it smooth, then drilling a hole and mounting them in there. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. I like keeping things the way they were, alluding back to my previous rant. So I think we'll try to see if we can get good deals on these and just run them in there. Also, I'm redoing all the wiring on this car anyway, because the majority of it looks like that, where it's all bare wire, where all the insulations come off, whether mice have gotten to it or it's just age and time. But I'm redoing all the wiring anyway, so I really don't care which route I go. Well, so I finally wised up and grabbed a light. You know, this is only Hollywood production type filming here at Trucks, Trails, and Tales garage headquarters. So as I was taking out these lights, I noticed this gas tank was staring at me from across the bar, giving me those hungry eyes, and told me that it wanted to dance. So I think we're gonna pull it out here, because you know, it's been begging for it. So as you can see, I was hoping we could save on these straps, but they're looking a little down. We'll see. I'm pretty sure this hardware is gonna snap. I'm gonna try to hit it with a little penetrating fluid and the old wire wheel and try to zip it off. I really don't care, because it looks like it's just hex bolts, so I don't think it's that big of an issue. But before I do that, I think we're gonna have to go up into here and remove those clamps that hold it to the filler neck, that little connecting boot's probably seen enough, those clamps. I'm pretty sure flathead screws, like a lot of things on this car, so they're probably not gonna wanna come out super nice. So I'll spare you all the trauma of that, even though I'm sure you'd like to see it, but I don't want you guys to see me use words that I otherwise rather wouldn't. So I'm gonna get that off first, and that little that vent hose off up there too, and then I'll bring you back in here and we'll try to tackle the rest of it. Hold on. Sorry, me and Glenn Campbell were having a moment there. Yeah, believe it or not, these flathead wire clamp thingy-mabobs with a little bit of Traveler's brand heavy duty penetrating oil. It's heavy duty, so you know it's better than the other stuff. A little willpower and a flathead. Also, don't mind my shop rag, aka my old underwear, which I no longer wear because last time I checked, this is America and you're still free. Yeah, these want to come off, so which is good because if you can't tell by the copious amounts of junk that I have laying around this garage, I like to save on everything, just because you never know when you're gonna need it. So yeah, I'm gonna pull that off real quick and I'll bring you back whenever we're done. Okay, sorry, I guess I had the radio going. So we're back. I was able to preserve these clamps that won't focus, but as you can see, the flathead's still good. Threads are all good. I got them cleaned up, like I said, with a wire wheel. So I like to try to preserve old things like this, especially clamps, because generally the aftermarket ones you buy nowadays don't hold a candle to what these are. I mean, it's only within the last few years that the aftermarket's really gone downhill. This gas cap isn't the same one, or the one that belongs on this car. I guess it was stolen from the car, and the gentleman I bought this from just gave this one to me. I was just using that to keep water out of the gas tank in case I could preserve it, and I couldn't. Had to cut the hose that connects the filler neck to that guy up there. Obviously, that thing's decrepit and deteriorated, much like the little ring that goes around the hole in the fender. But yeah, everything came out real well. The vent hose on here is a little crusty, but I guess I could always cut that off and run just a regular, like, whatever that is, 3/8 line, whatever, all the way up there, and that would work just perfectly fine. So yeah, so now that all that's good, I can go and start loosening the bolts at the tank and get that going. And a quick tip for anybody, I mean, I'm sure probably a lot of you that are watching this are mechanically inclined, but there's probably a lot of you that aren't. And you have threads, like I said, this isn't gonna focus, but when you have threads that are really rusty and gold up and stuff like that, and you wanna try to preserve a bolt or a clamp or something like that, I've alluded to it earlier, but generally what I do is I hit those threads with a wire wheel like this, just to clean them up as best as I can and spray them with penetrating oil. And any surface where that attaches, I spray with penetrating oil. And a lot of people like have this motion, or this notion, not motion, this notion in their mind that if you just send an impact on that and zip it off or just keep cranking it and trying to loosen it, it'll come off. But a lot of times that breaks stuff. What I've learned is it takes more time, but if you really want to preserve something, work that nut or the threads back and forth. Tighten it and loosen it and tighten it and loosen it and continue to break that up. Kind of like if you're tapping something, you don't just send the tap. Meanwhile, you can power tap something, but like if you're tapping something hard like steel or something like that, you don't want to break your tap. You know, you go in a few turns, back off, go in a few turns, back off. I do the same thing with this because you're essentially tapping new threads through the rust into there, and generally you can save a lot of old fasteners that way, and that prevents you from having to buy, you know, whole new clamps or whole other bolts or anything like that. So yeah, just a quick tip. So now that we did that, now we'll go, I'm probably not even going to worry about these bolts here because they're way too corroded to even think about trying to save. And like I said, I think they're just regular hex bolts. So we'll probably just zip them off, break them. Maybe I'll try to preserve them just because I'm a psychopath and like to see how much I can, you know, aggravate myself to save like $1 in hardware. But yeah, we'll get those off. We'll pull this tank out, and then probably pull the rest of the straps out to get as much access back there as possible. So we'll bring you back whenever that's happening. Well, the Highwaymen were just playing, so I'm on cloud 9 right now. We'll probably start calling this Ripley's because you can believe it or not, but both of those bolts came out with the wire wheel and penetrating fluid method. No issues at all. They weren't even like seized in there. I was smart before I pulled this one out. As you can see, the gas tank decided it wants to come out right now. Then when I smacked that strap fell, but I kept that one with a few threads on it to get her, so it didn't fall and crush my skull and leave me out here, not being able to fend for myself. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It wasn't bad at all. I'm gonna use both hands to pull this thing out and loosen that bolt, and I'll be back with you whenever it's out. Well, I made a calculated error here. I was sitting here, don't worry about this walnut, we're saving that for dinner as well. I had the tank, pulled that other strap, and I was like, hey, yeah, it should come out now. And I kept tugging on, and I was like, it's hung up by something. Well, I knew this was the case, but I completely forgot about it because I was working back to front. There's a fuel line right there still attached, so that's holding it up. Luckily, that fuel line's pretty much rotted off anyway, so I'm not really worried about it. I just need to salvage that fitting stuff. I'm gonna run probably nickel copper fuel line, so I'm gonna have to make a new one anyway. So stand by, I gotta get that guy out first. Well, there you have it. I just ended up cutting that line because I'm gonna need to grab that fitting out of there anyway, and I'm not reusing the line. But yeah, she's definitely stinky and definitely needs replaced. I mean, it could probably be cleaned out, but I mean, you see how much rust is just there around the filler. I'm guessing the whole inside of the tank looks like that. And yeah, I really don't want to fight that. So we're just gonna, yeah, we're just gonna say that that's no bueno. And there's definitely some fuel in it, so you can hear. But it also sounds like there's probably caked rust at the bottom there. So I'm gonna go dispose of that fuel properly, and then we'll be back here to assess how it looks underneath there. Well, the old fuel tank is out. It's currently repenting for its sins. Yeah, I said there was bad gas in there, and like I said, I OSHA approved, disposed of the old gas. There was only like, it may have been half a gallon, if that. It wasn't even anything. But yeah, it came out looking like, I don't know what the best way to describe it is, iced tea, really dark iced tea, and smelled like turpentine. So I flushed it with water just to try to get all that gross turpentine smell out of there, get anything else out. And after I'd flushed it a few times, there's like, you can hear the rust chunks just moving around in there. So I mean, you probably could salvage that tank. You could probably put a chain in it, diesel, clean it out, coat it. It may work. You may get stuff that gets trapped in lines either way. I said, to me, it was just worth buying a new tank. I always am an advocate of buying new tanks because I hate to do all the work of replacing lines and cleaning carbs and stuff and they get them clogged up with stuff again. So yeah, it was never going to work anyway, but it'll be a good addition to the scrap metal pile, which will hopefully help pay for some of the parts on this pig. I have a few treasures that came from behind it. Pardon my hand. There's a cicada wing, so that's nice. Like I said, that's the walnut that I'm saving for dinner. Maybe put it in my oatmeal tomorrow morning, because that and brown sugar is just divine. But yeah, honestly, the tank straps seem pretty decent on here. I thought they'd be pretty badly rotted, but I can probably clean them up and paint them. So I'll probably pull them down next. That's probably the best course of action. They might be riveted on up here, so I may not be able to pull them off unless that's just a carriage bolt. Although this one doesn't look like it. Oh, wait. Nah, it's probably just underneath that lining of the, whatever they call that, like the protective stuff on the strap so it doesn't rub metal on metal. But there's definitely a bolt up here that I can take out on both sides. And that, so I'd like to take them out and get them all nice and shined up and purdied. But yeah, there's a lot of room back here now. And now that I'm back here, there's definitely a lot of, like, there's a nice little cross member right here. There's this nice, like, speed hole cross member. What do they call that in drag racing where you do holes like that? I don't know what it is, but everything looks pretty decent. Like I said, other than the floor, but that can be easily patched. So it's nice to see that there's a lot of structure and none of it's rotted. But this is kind of why I wanted to take the tank down before I repaired all this stuff, because then that way I can properly coat all this stuff, clean it and coat it. That way it's not going to suffer from cancer for hopefully, you know, another 86 years. So we'll get these straps out and we'll bring you back in after that. Well, you may not believe me on this one, but all the bolts for the gas tank straps came out. Yeah. I don't know if it was just the metallurgy and these old parts that are just way better than anything you buy nowadays that snap after 2 years whenever you've owned a truck and it goes through the salt like one winter. But yeah, there's 2 carriage bolts that hold it through a cross member in the back and then just 2 hex bolts in the front. But yeah, I'm actually surprised. These things, for sitting back here for so long, actually seem to be in pretty good shape. I can probably wire wheel, brake clean, and paint these black and just throw them both back in there. So that saves me a good bit of money on trying to replicate something, or just, you know, have to buy it from a place that has aftermarket parts. So I'm pretty sure I looked before and these are like, I don't know if it was like 35 or 85 bucks, but that's a lot of money, and paint's cheap and so are wire wheels and brake clean. So Yeah, that's good. Other than that, everything else underneath here, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of dirt everywhere, but it's nice and clean now. Like I said, now it gives us a good bit of access for using a cut off wheel to cut out the bad sections of the floor, replace that, and get all the mud and stuff out back in here, and just clean it up and fluid film it so that, you know, it's good for a long time. Here's what I'm talking about too, which is probably where we're gonna go next, is here's the amount of grease that's on the axles here. And I actually grabbed this earlier to pull myself up, and I'm in the light, hold on. I actually pulled myself up by the leaf spring here earlier and broke some up. You can see it's just like a inch or more layer of just stuff, grease and mud and all that stuff. I'd like to get all that cleared off of there, and you know, off of like back here on the brake drum and everything. I think that's what we're gonna do next, just to, you know, see what the condition of those leaf springs are in. And luckily I can just jack this axle up, take a screwdriver and a hammer and just beat away at it for a little bit, and we should be good. But yeah, so that's good. That gas tank didn't take too long at all. Also off camera, I pulled that drain plug off that axle there, which, it's funny, this axle kind of looks very similar to like a Ford 9-inch. It's got a third member in the front too, and believe it or not, there's actually still oil in there. I mean, it was you know, just dark black freaking stinky gear oil, so it's probably never been changed. But we have to seal that axle up anyway, so we'll go in there and yeah, pull that third member at some point here, reseal that up, put fresh new oil in there, and it'll be like brand new. Also, what's funny is I didn't know this, these old cars have 410 gears in them. I guess that's because the flathead 6 that's in them is so underpowered that you needed you know, a lower gear ratio just to get you up and going. And then, you know, obviously it probably, I don't know what the speedo says on this thing. Actually, we can go check here right now. I don't know what the max MPGs, not max MPGs, max mile per hour is of this thing, but I can't imagine it goes anywhere above 60. Well, I don't know if you can see that. It goes all the way up to 100 apparently. We kind of got a test on that. I would love to see that. I mean, you probably got to be going downhill, very steep grade at a good clip, but I would say it probably is like winging it at 60 miles an hour. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll bring you guys back. I'm gonna do some cleaning up here, excuse me, and then we'll maybe go in for some action shots of cleaning that grease off there, because that should be fun to do. And that's what do people call that, ASMR or something? I don't know. I feel like people love to listen to sounds on the internet for no reason and makes them feel comfortable. I don't know. But yeah, we'll bring you back whenever we're doing that. All right, so here we are. We got the axle jacked up on jack stands. Like I showed you before, here's sort of the caked up, greasy mess of mud and other fun things, I'm assuming. That is on the leaf springs from them being greased for so many years. Like I said, hopefully that means it protected them and didn't cause it to seal in moisture and rot them out. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep the coverings on the leaf springs or not, the little sheet metal coverings. We'll see. I think right now I'm just going to clean it up and see what it looks like. I was going to film that, but then I figured most people probably don't want to see me being a Neanderthal just pounding on greasy, caked on mud for like 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll just bring it back in whenever I have this side cleaned up, and then we'll do like I guess a before and after. So that'll just give you an idea what it looks like there and there. Like I said, it's pretty gnarly. So I'll bring you back whenever I got it all cleaned up and show you what it looks like. All right, so we're back in here after copious amounts of time of just beating stuff with a hammer and a screwdriver. And as you can see, yeah, it's looking a lot better. You can see, I'm guessing that's just galvanized coverings there. It all looks pretty good. There's that side. This side kind of has a little left over on the top, but I'm not too worried about it. I just wanted to get the big stuff off. And one of the even funnier discoveries I made, let's see if I can get proper light on this. I actually, here, let me move this a little bit there. There we go. I was hitting on one of these and kind of dented in with a hammer, and it's kind of hard to focus on, but you can see this right here. let me get that up close. That's grease. There's grease still in there. So I'm actually pretty encouraged by that, because that means that there's still grease inside of these, even if it's wet, you know, dirty grease. That means that these things have been packed well enough that there should be no issues with any corrosion inside of them at all. So yeah, that's very encouraging. Also, as you can see, there was a lot of gunk on there. I mean, look at just the mess that this made everywhere. I mean, right there. I mean, up here is even more. Like, it was just, it all shot all over the garage, all over the place. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun mess to clean up, which I'll probably do now that I got this one good. I'll probably clean these up a little more in detail later on. Get most of the junk off them, but for right now I just want to get big stuff off to make sure that there's nothing that's like gonna break or nothing's completely rotted out or anything like that, U-bolts, all that other stuff. So this side seems pretty good. Those U-bolts still seem all right. They're not perfectly clean, but they're good enough to know that they're not gonna have any issues. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up, probably do the other side, and bring you guys back when I'm doing that. So we'll pull you in then. Also, I was just cleaning up, and if anybody knows what this song is, I do. I know what it is, but if you know what the song is, I love you. Just a solid song. Well, the supervisor is really hammering me today, guys, so we got to keep on task here. Well, this side's much of the same. Not much difference. As you can see, everything's just super caked on and nasty, so we'll repeat the same thing that we did over there, over here. As you can see, this one definitely had a really bad axle seal. It was leaking out of the brake drum, actually. I don't know if it was just... I'm guessing there must be an air gap between this little, like, plate here on the front and then in there, that it must have just dripped out over time and got flung everywhere. So, like I said, definitely needs wheel seals and stuff like that, but yeah, we'll get this all cleaned up. The supervisor is, I don't know, kind of loving today. I feel like there's something against this. We should call in HR, but we won't do that. We like this relationship. So, yeah, I'll bring you back in when this is all cleaned up. Right, Socks? I mean, supervisor? Yeah, so unfortunately we didn't get to get the front floor pan removed or clean off. I guess it would be up here in the front. Yeah, there's a bunch of grease, caked on grease up there like there is in the back, but I got some other stuff to do today. Like I said, it's Sunday, it's the weekend, other stuff, you know, to get done. So, yeah, unfortunately, I get the floor pan out and mess with that, but I'm gonna try to record some more stuff this week. You know, try to keep the momentum up on this. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta get this to Sam because she's got to make a video for this week. But yeah, let us know what you think. I mean, if you really like this stuff and like seeing progress on old cars, I mean, a lot of this stuff I think is just boring, tedious work. But if people actually enjoy it and seeing what, you know, old stuff looks like and how much better it is, in my opinion, than, you know, new cars nowadays, you know, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think about old cars, or what parts of this you'd want to see us, you know, work on, whether it's, you know, engine work, putting gas tanks in, you know, axle seals, anything like that. Like I said, I've never really messed with anything this old, so it's as much of a learning experience for me as it is for you. I'm sure there's other people that have worked on this stuff and have a lot more insight. But yeah, you know, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, comment, you know, just let us know what you'd like to see. Thank you all. Appreciate it.